I think just the important part is to acknowledge that I was living someone else's life. We can start there. And I know that there's so many people out there who are finding themselves in the same way. And what it was doing was depleting my spirit. It was, I just was down into my loneliness slump. You can continue to do your job that you went to college for and continue to do all of the check boxes and then go on the dates and try to find a partner. But all of that is just masking that you're just doing what society is telling you to do, or you're just kind of spreading it on top without really digging underneath. And so when I started there, and I started, I feel like my life is passing me by. I feel like why am I not fulfilled from, getting this expensive car? Or why am I not fulfilled when I move into a bigger apartment? And just so many of these things when, everybody else sort of has the answers for you. Sometimes it's like, oh, it's because you don't have a partner. Oh, it's because, your job is not the one for you. Oh, it's always this other reason. But then I said, maybe I have to take ownership. And I have to take ownership of my choices, that they are mine, and finally realize that this life is mine.
Hello and welcome to the F.E.E.L Podcast. I'm back here today with a friend I met earlier this year. If you follow our panels at all, you've met her on our panels, but today you get to meet her and learn her story from her directly as we unfold it through the talking points and how she got to where she is today in this really unique and special and much needed area that she has poured her passion into and helping other women learn from her own experience, which is what we do as women. We learn things, we figure out something that works, we figure out where the resources are needed, and then we become the resources. And that's exactly what Tsvety Roo has done. She describes herself as someone with warmth. She's brave, she's courageous, she's conversational, and she's open-minded. And all of that's going to become very clear on where that was birthed from as we go through this conversation. Thanks so much for joining me today, Tsvety. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Melissa. So excited to be here. This is going to be amazing. I know. I'm so excited to have you. I've been excited to get you on the podcast side for a while. And I just think what you have to share is so important for women to hear and know what's possible. So, but getting started on that, talk to me about your journey with self-care, because it was how you got to this spot 3-4 years ago now is, I think it really falls into that we underestimate what self-care actually means. And it's taking care of your whole self. And it's, yes, we have our daily rituals of body movement and those and how we feel and feed our bodies, but it's deeper than that. And I feel like that really came to bear for you in your journey. So talk to me about that. It really did. Yeah. So this all started with a realization that I had to make a change, a big change. And I know, and we have those moments. And what that change ended up becoming was I am now a solo traveler. I've been traveling for the last 3 years. I have been to over 40 countries and lived in most of these just incredible journey that started with being sort of focusing on the self. And taking that first step and giving myself permission to go after those dreams, the dreams that I've been stifling. So I'm really condensing the story, but actually I'm going to start a little bit further. And that came about in San Diego, California. And I took a long meditative walk. It was 6 hours.
Wow.
I didn't think it was going to be 6 hours, but it ended up being so. It just because it was much needed to do that introspective, it's sort of feeling deep inside. And I started to ask myself some questions which I really recommend so many people do, if they're feeling stuck and if they're lonely and if they're disconnected from themselves, from the world, you got to dig deep. It's hard. It's really hard. And, I was 37 at the time, so it's never too late or too early to have these honest conversations with yourself, because I was living a life that was, quote, traditional, quote unquote, and following other people's expectations. And I know that we're going to dig into that as well. And I just asked myself, what have I been stifling? What am I not giving myself permission to go after because of fears and because of whatever other excuses? And then it just came that I've always wanted to travel. I didn't know if I could do it by myself. I took that plunge, and now 3 years later, I have so many lessons to share and I hope that the transformation that I sort of came into can inspire others as well.
Yeah, I love this so much. And so talk to me about, you were living that very traditional expectation. Well, I don't want to give too much away. We'll get into expectations a little bit later, but also you were following all the things that we're told to do as women, go to, get the job, go to university, try to find the partner, think about having a family, all these things. And you got, and even though you were very successful and really thriving as a human, you should have been felt like you were thriving, but because of the expectations, you didn't feel like you were thriving. And so can be such an interesting dynamic that comes with that, but also traveling as a woman solo, is something that is very possible, but also requires some planning and thinking. And so talk to me about the role of healthy boundaries in your life in terms of taking care of yourself, protecting yourself, not feeling like you have to over-explain yourself to people who don't understand choices. I mean, sometimes we really have to determine, okay, I've made this decision that's contrary to what a lot of people would think that should be or would be something I would do. So how am I going to protect myself and making sure I'm surrounding myself in spaces, places, and time that are honoring those decisions, but also keep myself safe as I'm going around and doing all this?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much to unpack there.
I know.
And I think just the important part is to acknowledge that I was living someone else's life. We can start there. And I know that there's so many people out there who are finding themselves in the same way. And what it was doing was depleting my spirit. It was, I just was down into my loneliness slump. You can continue to do your job that you went to college for and continue to do all of the check boxes and then go on the dates and try to find a partner. But all of that is just masking that you're just doing what society is telling you to do, or you're just kind of spreading it on top without really digging underneath. And so when I started there, and I feel like my life is passing me by. I feel like why am I not fulfilled from, getting this expensive car? Or why am I not fulfilled when I move into a bigger apartment? And just so many of these things when, everybody else sort of has the answers for you. Sometimes it's like, oh, it's because you don't have a partner. Oh, it's because, your job is not the one for you. Oh, it's always this other reason. But then I said, maybe I have to take ownership. And I have to take ownership of my choices, that they are mine, and finally realize that this life is mine. It's no one else's life.
Yeah.
It's mine.
Yeah.
So why am I living by other people's check boxes and other people's expectations. But like when you simplify it that way, it just, you're all of a sudden like, what? Okay. So now let's do the hard part, because it is hard. So looking into myself and saying that I'm going to embark on this lifestyle. I put everything in storage that I didn't sell. So I like very minimalistic. That was also a big transition. I said, I'm going to try to see if the way I've been living is really like the way that aligns the best with me.
Yeah.
And I realized over the course of the last 3 years that you don't really need the stuff that we kind of continuously buy and accumulate. You can live a bit more freer just from that aspect. So you don't have to trek 40 countries like I did, but you can start to figure out, like, is this aligning with me and what my values are? And so when you are asking about healthy boundaries, definitely did not have those clearly, because I was living other people's lives, or, society, what they were saying to me. And it helps when making that step to create a physical distance from that life that you had. And I think that kind of helped to start the journey of creating healthier boundaries. Sure. So then when you have a distance from all that you were comfortable with your comfort zone. And I left that behind and created, I went to Spain, San Diego to Spain. It's halfway across the world.
Yeah.
The globe they're on the other side.
Yeah.
And so when I took that opportunity to have that physical space and to start to say, okay, I'm going to intentionally spend this time for me, put away the distractions as much as I could. When it comes to other people overstepping my boundaries, saying something like, oh yeah, the time difference.
yeah, exactly. Oh, sorry. I must have missed that.
Oh yeah, I was sleeping. Yeah, apologies. I wasn't there in the way that you needed me to be, that I've always been, but it wasn't healthy. So that helped. And then from the actual, 3 years or so of traveling, building the confidence to uphold those boundaries. So solo travel has definitely helped with that as well.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, building that confidence, putting that. And you were so intentional about, I'm going to create some space here so I can find my feet, find my stability in this decision. And then that will embolden me and give me what I need to communicate in a way. And also just set by example. I'm doing this. I'm sending them out. I'm not talking about this. I'm doing this. And then people are kind of forced into like, oh, okay, she's doing this. So I have a choice here. I can either honor her in this or not be a factor in her life anymore. So it becomes very clear from that. Thank you so much. Yes. Talk to me about, and you and I talked about this in our conversation when we met, and it's come up some on the panels too, but talk to me about the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual aspects of your health that have shifted when you went from living out of everybody else's checkbox for your life, societal, cultural, all that, to living in a way that's honored and aligning with who you are now.
Yeah. It takes work. It takes work, and it's unfamiliar territory.
Sure.
100%. You're a bit, you're skeptical of yourself. You're your own biggest critic. What am I doing? How did I embark on this? I can't believe I gave up my apartment. I can't believe I sold my car.
I really went all in. Oh my gosh.
There's a level of disbelief. And then over the course of the months, initially too, there are a lot of emotions of this is novel, this is different. I didn't even know how to explain it to people that, I'm technically just a nomad, and everyone's like, what? That's still a word? What? Yeah. I didn't know how to define the life so much. And now
I've really, over the course of the 3 years, I don't have to define it for anybody but myself.
Yeah.
And coming to these realizations and realizing you don't have to explain yourself and how healthier that is, and how it brings such a peace of mind when you stop having to apologize clearly, living unapologetically, and really say, okay, I have chosen this new life.
Yeah.
I'm going to embrace it. There's going to be some hardships. There's a lot of fear.
Yeah.
We can definitely talk about that, but it's just something that over time became a peace of mind. It was the resilience that I built from it, the meaningful connections of meeting different people and being introduced to different cultures, and just I just feel my life expanded.
I love that so much. Talk to us a little bit about the fear piece, because there's a lot of people that'll be like, you're going to go solo travel as a woman. Have you read the headlines lately? I mean, so talk to me about that piece.
The safety. Yeah, safety is very important. And of course, I live in the real world like the rest of us. And I have to be mindful of that, unfortunately. And women, we're not the safest everywhere. Yeah. So I do a lot of research before I go to a certain place. And now I've built a sort of community, a travelers community, and through my researching and through meeting different people who are traveling, we rely on each other to communicate and to sort of give each other pointers and understand what it is. But I have to say, with the technology that we have, with all the blogs and the travel influencers and et cetera, it's never been a better opportunity to know how to travel on a certain budget, to know, top 10 things to do in this country. And it's a quick Google search. And so combining all of these resources, talking to my friends, researching by myself, following certain travelers, all of that plays a factor. And then when you also feel prepared, I feel prepared.
Yeah.
When I go to a place. And so when I get there, I'm prepared. I know what's going on. I know what to expect. And so therefore, I don't look like a helpless victim walking around, walking around the streets of whatever country. Yeah. And that also plays a big difference. I talk about body language. You don't want to seem frail and lost. And, even if you're unsure where you are at that moment, fake it. Make sure that you're safe, that, shoulders back, looking up, definitely be aware of your surroundings. And it's all common sense, obviously. But it makes a big difference. And so,
yeah, I think that preparedness piece is so big too. And also the body language piece, such the messages and signals that we send with our body language, I think we underestimate sometimes, and not panicking, like I'm prepared. Yes. I've got the information. I know what to do here. And those are also you're sending your nervous system signals. I'm okay. I got this. We're prepared. We did our homework. Yeah. I love that so much. Exactly. Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, it helps too. You nailed it right on the head, because I just met somebody. I'm in Finland right now, and she's American. She lives in Florida, and she went to Poland before coming to Finland, and so she found herself in a situation where she didn't have reception. She got off the wrong bus stop, and she's like, I freaked out. Yeah. And I looked at her and I said, but look, you made it. You came to Finland. We met each other. You made it. You made it through that, horrible hardship where you were lost, and you just became so much stronger.
Yeah.
And so there are situations with travel, of course, you can't predict everything. And as much as you prepare, there's still going to be some interesting things that are going to happen.
Yeah.
But being open and knowing that you can handle it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's such a great tool in learning what you're capable of and what's already inside of you. You have it all inside you. And these open up opportunities for you to really tap into that and really grow in confidence that way. Yeah. And I think that also lends itself to this next one talking point of you have really learned how to show up unapologetically. You mentioned earlier, I don't feel like I have to over-explain or apologize anymore, because that is such an issue that women deal with in the world. And through that, it has enabled you to also show up for other women unapologetically. You now help other women embark on these. You help other women build confidence of what's possible with solo travel. You don't have to have a partner. Whether you're hoping to have a partner someday, or if you decided you love the single life, that's all good. And that's one of my biggest passion points is that women understand that they're valuable and they're worthy and they get to choose. And that means they get to choose their life, and they're worthy and valuable of choosing the life that is aligned with them, with their values, with what they're passionate about, with what fills their soul. And they don't have to explain that to anyone. And you whether you choose to do these traditional roles that women have done across the ages in time or not, your value does not ever flow based on that.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. I'm sorry. I just got so excited. I got excited, and it's coming into that, the different, honoring everybody's differences. And I think that's one way we can support each other. And that's the start. Just being curious, accepting other people's journeys that might be different than yours. So whether you do have a traditional lifestyle and that makes you happy, that fulfills you, and you're not feeling empty inside. And yes, like not judging is the key here. And I think that's where the support starts to each other is just letting go of the projections or insecurities and saying, I see you, I honor your path. And that's the foundation for living unapologetically.
Yeah. And that curiosity piece, we're going to come back to that in a little bit, because that is such a powerful point. Talk to me about when you decided this is really working for me. I think I'm going to set something up where I can help other women with that too. At what point did you decide? Because that to me is a key component of how you show up in supporting other women unapologetically. It is making, it's like, wait a minute. I've got resources. I've learned a lot. I know the countries that are, really accepting and supportive of women travel and all the, I know the research, all those things, and I know the power that's in it for me. And so why not offer this to other women? Talk to me about at what point you decided it's time to do this.
Yeah. So from, I do admit it started more selfishly from an introspective perspective from the 3 years ago. But what shifted was I kept getting asked the same questions, and mostly by women. And it's, how are you doing this? How do you decide where to go? When do you go? How long do you think you're going to do this? So I kept getting the same questions. I said, interesting. I think that there's a curiosity there. I think this can be really impactful, because if people weren't asking me these questions, and mostly women, and that means there's something there. I'm planting the seed that it's not only possible, but maybe they can do it.
Yeah.
And so they see me flesh
in
person, and they say, okay, well, so like, how did you manage with, finances and how are you, the very popular question, how do you meet people so easily? All of these questions. And so then at the end of last year, so about a year ago now, I said, how about I actually give back in a way that I have, that perhaps this has always been leading me to, like taking this path. And it just aligned so well. And I said, there's a part of me that wants to teach and share and mentor and guide people. And so it was about exactly a year ago, I said, I'm going to be brave again and start sharing my story.
Yeah.
And so that's how it all started. And that has transformed me in a different way. So solo travel transformed me into coming back to myself and understanding my values and understanding the world and being more connected. And then now sharing my story and speaking about it and helping other people get started, it is also transformation for me as well. In that I am giving back all of that, like you said, all of that I've learned, and I'm so happy to do it. It's giving back so much more.
Yeah, absolutely. Because so many times as women, we just need that nudge or that one person that says that right thing. Like it's always been back in the back of our minds to do it. But we feel like, oh, that's just a silly little crazy little thought, or oh, what a pipe dream, whatever. And then all of a sudden,
or my favorite, I'm too old. Oh, that's my favorite.
Oh, wow. No, as long as you're living, breathing, and can move around reasonably, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think you mentioned this already just a couple seconds ago, really, that you talked about how this impacted your values and your why. I feel like when you were able to shift into this, you're like, oh, now I'm finally living out of my values and my why. I figure out what that was versus what I thought was mine, but it was really just everyone else's expectations I was trying to live into. Talk to me about that values and why discovery.
Yeah. So we like to simplify the values, especially in the US. Growing up in the States, there's just such a huge emphasis on making money and being successful.
Yeah.
And how that shapes your identity. And I think that was really taxing on me because I didn't feel that I was a success in this higher standard that I was holding myself to, and that I was putting all this pressure on my shoulders. And I like to say that I felt like an elephant was sitting on me, on top of my shoulders. And so then realizing through kind of taking this big leap and quitting my job and figuring out different ways and having to live a lot more strategically when it comes to money, I realized that, wait, that's not the top value. Of course, we all need to survive and to sustain ourselves, but that's not even the top 6 or 7. And I realized that having these deep connections with people, learning about and growing in a different cultures and seeing the world and how much that has really enriched me. And I decided, I was like, oh, I didn't even know you guys existed.
Yeah.
Oh, this value of connection and growth and courage and where have you guys been?
Yeah. And you finally were able to tap into them.
Yes, exactly. As soon as I let go of those the pressures that you could say that society puts on us, but we also put it on ourselves.
We do. We take these thoughts and we treat them as truth rather than just that's a thought. And let's get curious about where that's coming from and if it's even actually rooted in anything from me. Exactly. I mean, yeah, so much of that. All right, we're here to the big expectations when you are totally living out of your own expectations versus others. After years of not, doing that. And you've talked already about the freedom, the discovery, the knowing who you are, the finding yourself through at peace. You've told me some stories as you've traveled around the world. You've been in some of these different countries where both men and women are like, you're traveling alone. I mean, you told us a story of it, when you were in Italy, which tends to be a pretty patriarchal system, or at least there's where men and women tend to have roles, and then other places as well. But then there's been other countries that have surprised you that you thought were more traditional, that you found some of the most like independently resource confident, self-empowered women that you've run into. So these expectations continue to be, for you, even your own expectations of what you thought a culture was. There's so many pieces and parts to this expectation story. Talk to me about what that has been like for you to experience that, both living out of your own, but also having ones that you had of areas being, oh, okay, that's not what I thought it was. Or, as you respond to people who are, questioning, how can you do this as a woman? Why aren't you married yet? I mean, all these crazy questions. People, why don't you have children? Are you going to be a mother? I'm like, when did we decide in the world that has to be on the docket in order for me to be living a fulfilled life? So anyway, I've said a lot here. There's a loaded talking point, I think, for you. So just share with us what's coming to heart and mind for you regarding this expectations journey.
Well, so I'm going to start with the expectations that I put myself on myself before I started this new adventure and this new lifestyle. They were heavier because I wasn't connecting with myself.
Yeah.
And so they felt overwhelming, or they were overpowering me. And I didn't even have sort of as many external opinions back then. I was really working remotely, my 9-to-5 job, and going to the gym occasionally. So that is so much heavier to carry from that perspective. So when I reconnected back with my values and myself, other people's opinions and other people's expectations, they don't feel that heavy. That's the biggest shift, I would say. It's just sort of, okay, you are sort of presenting these opinions and you're likely judging me. But that tells me more about you, really.
Yeah.
Than what you're so judgmental about. And of all of the things of solo travel, there's not, to me, there's just positivity coming from this experience, because that's my experience with it. And I see other people are very kind of fearful about it. And some women, because, you're solo female traveler, do men stare at you? Do you do this? They have the questions, which is normal. And then men have sometimes, or just, from that protector role that a lot of them fall into. Well, who's protecting you when you're traveling by yourself? You don't be, like you were saying, you don't have the husband, you don't have the friends, the male friends especially. And it's like, well, I think that you're just assuming that all women are so fragile and just we can't. There's a bigger narrative here, and with each country, the differences in narrative that they have, and sometimes they share it. Like the Italian kind of Western European countries with the U.S., they share similar narratives around this.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's once you, again, I'm coming back to that, they don't impact me as much to a level where I feel like this is not, I'm not going to do this anymore because this person is afraid for me.
Yeah.
But when they haven't heard the full story, when they haven't they don't understand the benefits, and this is my mission, and I this is why I want to share. And there's just so many benefits, especially for women, but also for men. There's just for everybody. Making this change from a life that you thought you had to lead to a life where you're giving yourself permission to lead, whether that be solo travel, whatever the passion is there.
Yeah.
That is the biggest shift. And so, yes, I get a lot of those questions, but then it kind of tells me that, again, I'm taking it positively. They're curious. A plant that's I'm taking it in a positive way. And then when you were mentioning where I had my own misconceptions, when I went to Thailand, for example, and my Airbnb host is just the powerhouse of a boss lady, several businesses, including the Airbnb that I was in, and never married, 41 years old, had a boyfriend in a different city. I was just like, who are you? Because I thought, from my misconceptions and not knowing much about Asian culture, that everyone had to follow the same rules. So that opened my mind, and I love that. I love being proven wrong. I love it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think something too, I think we underestimate the value of the learning that is possible with travel. I'll use myself. Travel is literally one of my values. When I did a whole values breakdown a couple of years ago, and I had to identify 3, which was like, I'll never get it down to 3. I did get it down to 3. And no matter what I did, travel kept coming up. And so I was just like, at first I was like, that feels kind of surface level or fun, or I was really judging myself about it. And then I got curious, and then I was like, wait a minute, let me think about all the benefits that travel has brought me over the years. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I mean, the curiosity, the understanding of how different cultures and people operate, getting rid of the assumptions, seeing the richness and possibility, learning that there's other ways to live a life. I mean, so I could go on and on and on. And I'm like, oh.
And that's just external stuff. What about the benefits for yourself and how you're like a problem solver? Let's say your flight gets delayed and all of a sudden you have plan B, C, D.
Absolutely. I mean, we literally have an example of that. We were in, and this wasn't solo travel. It was my husband and I. It was our first time in Europe in 2018. And we got on the wrong train in Florence. And it was just a language miscommunication thing. So we got on the wrong train. We were supposed to be taking a train to Genoa that day. Got on the wrong train that was headed in the other direction. It was heading to like Milan or something. It was like, wrong way. Got off at the next stop and then went back. But by the time we went back to our original stop in Florence, we missed our train.
Yeah.
So then we're like, okay, scrambling. We're like, okay, we're going to have to get a different train. And so once we kind of figured it all out and kind of like, it took us like a stop to realize we were on the wrong train. Talked to the train conductor in our very broken Italian and his very broken English, and figured out that we needed to get back to the other stop. So he got us off so we could get back to the other stop. Found out we missed our train. So then we're like, okay, what do we do now? So we go in, because had done all of this online, and okay, we're going to have to figure out how to navigate the actual buying the tickets in the actual station, in the actual country, in the actual language. And we just went into it. And so between the two of us, and my husband's a very savvy traveler too. So we're both, and we lived in Chicago and New York, and we knew how to navigate train systems and all those things, which was super helpful. But we ended up picking one. We're like, okay, this is going a different route. We're going to have to go to Pisa and then change to another train there. It's not a direct, but it's a different route. It's an adventure. And we don't have anything on the schedule today other than getting to Genoa. So, okay, here we go. it ended up being, so we stopped in Pisa. We have a timeout in Pisa. So we're able to go see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, which wasn't on the agenda because we weren't going to go through Pisa. So we ran over and saw that real quick, which was kind of fun. Very touristy, but it was like, oh, okay, unexpected. Get back to the train. And then this train, rather than cutting through Tuscany and going straight to Genoa, this train is going up the Mediterranean coast, following the Mediterranean, like up above, like on a cliff. You look out and there is the magically beautiful cliffs, mountains, and beautiful Mediterranean Sea.
Wow.
We kind of knew it, but we didn't fully, we've looked at the map. Oh, we'll follow along the water. We come out of a tunnel and I look out the window and there it is. And I leaped out of my chair in excitement, like a train. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. And the people around me were like, she's an American first timer. I mean, the lady, people were laughing. My husband was like, you cleared 3 feet out of your chair. You jumped so high. You were so excited. This day, I can see it in my brain. It's one of the most beautiful sights I've ever seen. And even better when you're not expecting it.
Yeah.
What a fabulous surprise that was. And if we hadn't missed our train in Florence, which for about 15 minutes, we were kind of snappy at each other, trying to figure out how we messed this up. But got over that, over time and realized, oh my gosh, that was the best mistake we've ever made.
Blessing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And it was just that reminder of, when the best laid plans, just figure out another plan, especially on your vacation. But the settling of my nervous system when I'm able to go to these places and travel and see. I mean, when my husband and I are traveling, it's the most relaxed he ever is. We were in Ireland a little over a year ago. And I just take pictures of him because his whole persona just settles when he gets away, when we're able to get away from all the noise. And so I think just don't underestimate the value of travel. And so at that point, I was able to embrace, this is a value of mine and has a very, very important role in my life.
Yes. No, I mean, you have hit on so many different points there. It just opening up to being, let's say you both were vulnerable in that situation. Yeah. And so that scares a lot of people, but then that vulnerability opens you up to experiencing completely different emotions and having this new experience of, okay, I'm just letting go. We get there when we get there with this other train and going through Pisa and, whatever happens. So you get to a point where you're not controlling every single aspect of your life. Wow. And because it's a false sense of control. We can't control everything, every aspect of it. It's not possible. And with travel, it grounds you. You realize, I'm using a pun, grounding the plane, I just realized that. But it grounds you emotionally. And so when you go through these experiences like that, you get closer to certain people that you're traveling with. And I was going to say, even though I'm a solo traveler, I still meet up with a lot of people, and it still it still becomes like an experience that I share. I'm probably going to say most of the time. I started alone, and then all of a sudden I'm having lunch with somebody that I just met in Portugal. Then there's a dinner with the friend of the friend, and it's not an experience to. The goal is not to say, I want to be by myself.
Yeah.
But the goal is to say, I'm going to start by myself. And the intention is to connect with myself. But then I will embrace every aspect of this travel experience.
Yeah.
And then the other point I wanted to make is that travel has always been a sort of escape. Okay, let's go away for 2 weeks. And so that's why you're surprised. I'm assuming that it's a big value of yours because it's been painted as sort of frivolous, and it's kind of like, oh, travel is just to escape. And that is what I'm set out to turn around and do a 180, because it's not an escape. You're not running away from your problems. You're embracing so much of life and the world and the new people, and you are taking yourself out of that comfy sofa and your comfort zone, and you're putting yourself in the world where you are finally connecting.
Yeah. And you meet the most incredible people. We've had the most incredible conversations on trains, in pubs, in restaurants, on tours, like on boat rides. I mean, I can think of all these different places and spaces. We have connected with people in a way. People are just when you're traveling, there's just an openness that comes alive in you, and a curiosity and a friendliness. I mean, there's just so many things that I've discovered that just some of the most meaningful conversations with people I'll never see again. But in that moment, we shared such incredible time together that I wouldn't change for anything, that I wouldn't have gotten had we not embarked on that journey.
Some of the deepest conversations, and maybe there is an aspect to that because you know that you likely won't see this person ever.
Yeah.
So you feel more comfortable to open up because you're just like, oh, okay, like this is a safe space, because it's a moment where I feel connected to the place and the person and whatnot. And then there's a part of it too about traveling that is bringing you to the present. You're being very present.
Yes. You are in the moment. You are not thinking about what happened last week or thinking about what's coming. You are present and in the moment, taking everything in.
Exactly. It's new, and you have to figure things out, and you're like, okay, well, I don't know any of these people, so there's no time to think about the past, or like, oh yeah, I was in this situation 5 years ago in San Diego. There's no time, because you're so present and embracing all of that, and the new environments that you're in, and the new people that you're meeting. And I've definitely become a better listener since starting to travel solo. And just, again, it's like one of those things where, okay, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to see this person again. So like, I should probably pay attention to the details. Otherwise, I'm going to get this wrong and during our conversation. So there's part of that too, of listening more closely, which again is enriching me as a person.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so good. All right. In embracing your layers, I talk a lot about embracing layers, and it's embracing all the pieces and parts of your lives, the parts we love, the parts we don't love, all the pieces that make us up. No more stuffing, no more shame, no more regret. And with the reality, like, you're not going to love every decision or choice you made along the way, or thing that happened to you and how you reacted or responded to it. But through curiosity rather than judgment, I believe you can get to at least just a base level acknowledgement. Yeah, that happened. This is where I was at that time. This is what I thought I needed to do. Based on that information, I can see how this progressed. I learned from that, and I'm moving forward. And it can be a very complex journey, but I really have learned in my own journey that by embracing my layers, I then can come to really understand, oh, I am valuable. Oh, I am worthy. These things are part of a life. They don't determine whether I'm good or bad. It's a process. It's a journey. Talk to me about your layers journey as you have evolved into this space over the years.
That's such a good question. And now I want to say, I love that I'm just gonna say it out. I was being told in the corporate world for about in my 20s and early 30s, I was too nice.
Oh gosh.
I was too nice. And clients would say that, and like but I would get passed over for promotions and not oh, you're too nice. And then finally, I'm in a situation where being too nice is a superpower. And and the fact that I'm too nice and sort of warm and welcoming, and that's how I've really embraced this lifestyle of connect people so easily. And now, instead of folks saying, "Oh, you're too nice," it's like, how are you making all these friends all over the world? And I was like, because I'm too nice.
See, it worked out.
It's like that one layer of being too nice in the corporate world, where it's like you have to be like a shark and just like make yourself sound better and all of this stuff in front of the clients and do this performance of being aggressive and like initiating. I'm sure a lot of the listeners can also relate.
Yeah.
And then coming into this travel experience, I was like, wow, that is a superpower. Like that layer of me, that part of me that I felt ashamed about, and I thought I had to fix. And that is one of the reasons why I feel people trust me so quickly when we meet and when we make these meaningful connections. And because I don't come from a level of what can you do for me, or very business transactionally, but a sort of curiosity again coming back, and that too nice layer. I haven't actually talked about that before. I just as you were describing, the different layers that we have, and sort of the criticisms and what we thought were flaws.
Yeah.
Could actually just be reframed to a very positive superpower.
Yeah. These things come up when we're living in alignment and we're in past. And I want to point out too, the whole being too nice thing. People equate being too nice with she's not strong enough, assertive enough. You're plenty strong. You're plenty capable, plenty assertive, able to research and take care of yourself as a woman traveler solo.
Yep.
And be nice at the same time. These don't have to be mutually exclusive. And I think I will tell you that's a major missing element in our company cultures today. Is this misunderstanding of what it means to be nice and where that fits in. And there's just this, we have so many layers, and we're capable of feeling and being and existing in multiple ways. We are so much more nuanced than what societal narratives try to put on us. Then societal narratives want to allow us to be. And when you can step into that and realize, oh my gosh, this is all inside of me. And now I'm living in a space where it's allowed to thrive and be and breathe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You put it all together amazingly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you live out F.E.E.L, finding empowerment, embracing layers in a really authentic, beautiful way. Talk to me about how that's impacted your relationship with yourself as well as your relationship with other people.
A big portion. So I'll start with a relationship with myself. Definitely, there's I'm not as harsh on myself. There's more compassion.
Yeah,
and we're our own worst critics. You haven't achieved this. You have this milestone, this situation, this much money, this much the big house, all of these things. I was just so harsh on myself for the traditional life, and I said, okay, what if I'm actually compassionate towards myself? What would happen? And so that's when it started. I have a lot more compassion towards myself with my relationships. just that vulnerability that I exude it's so powerful, and they feel seen. I feel that we're connecting in a much deeper level because I'm sharing my stories, because when I meet people, I don't just ask superficial questions. There's a level that I connect with others, and my relationships have really grown when I have been more vulnerable with my struggles. And also when I meet new people, it's kind of like, okay, this is what I'm struggling with right at this moment. I don't know if you saw me crying in the airplane. And they're like, no, I didn't. I was like, okay, but so when you phrase it in a way where it's warm and you're opening yourself up a little bit more. I've been shocked at just how quickly people just bond, and they're able to say similar stories, especially women solo travelers, which, funny enough, fun fact, I recently saw from there's a book by Beth Santos and the Wonder Woman. She said that 2/3 of solo travelers are female.
Oh, wow.
Which is not surprising to me, because I've met a lot of female solo travelers.
Sure.
But it was just so funny, because I was like, wow, we're taking over the solo travel game.
Which I think is so fun. And honestly, it's interesting to me because in some ways that doesn't surprise me. For one, sadly, if you are partnered, many times women outlive men. And so I think you find a lot of women in their 50s, 60s, 70s that are like, I'm still very vibrant and thriving, and I've always wanted to do this, and now I can do this. And so they go do it. And I think you also have the 20s and 30 somethings that are like wanting to go on that adventure before they go, settle into whatever it is they've decided they're going to settle into. You've got the women in their 40s that have either done
divorced, maybe.
Yes, exactly. They're basically literally going to find themselves. Like literally. So when you say it, and I feel like women are more inclined, as I've talked to over 200 women in the last 4 years, and I feel like they're more inclined to go do that adventure thing. Men seem to, although my husband would do it that way because he loves to travel too, but they seem to choose different routes. And I feel like to travel is a very common route for women to choose.
I believe it's more accepted that women can do that from a like an introspective type of way, while with men, it has to be a certain goal.
Right. Yes. What are you going to achieve here? Yes, absolutely. Yeah. They go climb Kilimanjaro. They run a marathon.
Which I recently did.
Yes, you did. Yeah, exactly. So you can travel and go climb Kilimanjaro.
Exactly. You can meet those physical challenges as well as the internal challenges, the emotional challenges. And I think for men it's harder because it's never, they don't have the eat, pray, love. I don't think.
I know they have been told it's not okay.
Right.
I mean, it goes back to societal expectations and being able to kind of break through those. Oh, so good. So good. All right. As we wind down here, share with me 5 activities that nourish you.
Okay. All right. So I journal all the time. So the journaling aspect of it, the retrospective reflection it's very important. Obviously, I have a quick story about the journal, by the way, because I usually put it into my carry-on bag with me. And for some reason, I was on a flight to Croatia this summer, and they had to check my little bag. There was a small airplane or whatnot. So they checked my bag, and I had put my journal, both of my journals, which is the heaviest item out of everything that I travel with. The journals, I have 2 of them, and then they're the heaviest. And so I put them in that bag, and then I checked it, and then the bag didn't come out once I landed. And I said, "Oh my God, there goes my 6 months of journaling." It just, I started to sweat.
Yeah.
And then this woman was hilarious. She just recently came back from a vacation, and she was not happy to be back at work, but she just like, "Oh yeah, your bag is not here." And I'm like, "Well, clearly, yes." But then the next day they called me and they said they found it, and I was like, "Yes." But it sort of gave me this, I was like, "Oh, what happens if you journal all those feelings and all those thoughts, and then they sort of, kind of lose themselves away from you, or however you lose them?" And I said, then that's probably part of the lesson too, is letting them go as well.
Yeah. We hold on so tight to things sometimes.
We do. And I said, that's also why it's hard for people to let go of certain material possessions, which I know I come here and say like, "Oh yeah, just put your stuff in storage and start traveling for at least, just start off with 3 months." People look at me like, which I do say you can start small, like you can start a bit. You just take yourself out for lunch, start solo traveling that way.
Yeah.
But it was a reminder of, wow, okay, attaching to this journaling, where I pour my emotions out throughout the 3 years. And I was like, okay, maybe you can let that go. So yes, the other parts, of course, travel. And then I feel fulfilled when I have amazing conversations like this with meaningful connections that I meet. It just, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so good. And I think, it's such an important thing to remember about those things that we're connected to. Get curious as to the why behind that. And if the why behind that has a healthy connection, or I also love how you help women, especially if you haven't done it before, because even I would say this has changed in the last 10 years, but even eating out by yourself used to be like, "You're going by yourself?" I mean, to even just be seen by yourself solo in a restaurant, a cafe, coffee, anything was like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" Like no one wants to be with you. Instead of being like, yes. And so for some people, if that's what they've grown up around or lived around, even doing that thing is just putting their foot out there. Oh, okay. I can actually really enjoy the food, or notice my surroundings, or engage with my wait person, or just quietly enjoy a meal and settle and not feel like I'm inclined to be in conversation. I mean, there's just so many different things about it, but that can be a big step for people. So also when you're working with women, you meet them where they are to help them prepare for that. And I think that's an important point to point out too.
Yeah.
I love that.
You don't have to jump in to going to Morocco tomorrow.
Exactly.
No. Just smaller steps, be good to yourself, be compassionate. And that's, just start from there, and it builds up, it builds the confidence. And I say, take yourself out first to a meal, then maybe a weekend trip to a city in your state, then maybe go international for a week, and then, go for 3 weeks. So if you can. And so I know that the flexibility is so different for everybody, and the different times in their lives, and especially people that have recently, let's say, been laid off. You're like, well, why would I spend money when I have to be looking for a job? But then taking that break in between, which, for example, like my aunt has said, she wishes that she's retired now, but back 5 years ago when there was restructuring and she happened to be laid off for about 6 months. She's like, oh, what if I took those 6 months and traveled?
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of just, kind of moped around the house and applied to jobs for 6 months. And she said, I would have seen so many countries.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. Because you are going to find a job. You will, but how do you take that opportunity or see it as an opportunity between jobs?
Yeah. See it as an opportunity to reset, refresh, make sure you go back into things that are in alignment with you rather than just keep doing the same thing. Maybe it's time to do something different. There's so many things that can open up for you. Yeah, absolutely. All right. 5 words on how you want to feel the next 6 months.
Yes. The words. It's so tough because I'm very chatty. To put into 5 words. Oh, I want to feel fulfilled. I want there to be more growth. I want to continue to build on the alignment, the self-alignment. I want to continue to give, to feel that I'm making an impact and a difference. And I want to feel joy.
Love that. All right. Tell people where they can find you and follow you. And this will also be on our website at embracinglayers.com on the resources page, but let people know real quick right now.
So please come visit me on the website, tsvetyroo.com, tsvetyroo.com. And then shoot me a note, share your solo travel stories. I love that too. I love when people, they come to me and they say, oh, I did a solo travel 10 years ago. I love them. So yeah, just reach out. Also on my Instagram, I have also started a YouTube channel where this podcast, we can align as I've been a guest on several other podcasts, and that could also be very inspirational for you. And there's Instagram, website, LinkedIn, Tsvety Roo.
Okay. All right.
Everywhere.
Awesome. And a last thought you'd like to leave with our listeners today?
I would really want people to be open to themselves and to the world.
Yeah. Curiosity. Yeah, absolutely. I love that so much. Tsvety, thanks so much for your time. You're one of my favorite people I've met in 2025, honestly. You really are.
Thank you.
I love your journey. I love what you're doing. And I think just my love for travel ties so succinctly to what you're doing and helping women know what's possible. You don't have to live in these boxes that have been given. If you're feeling this nudge, if you've got the bug, go do it. And if you're feeling question or confidence, resources, you've got Tsvety right here to help you guide you through that. Dig into those resources, honor yourself in that way, get curious, understand that living in alignment is what you owe yourself, and no longer abandoning yourself to fulfill things that aren't aligned with you. And if you need help finding that alignment, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. Go to embracinglayers.com, fill up that contact page. Let's have a conversation. I'd love to help you with that. But I thank you so much for how you show up in the world.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, listeners, there it is. Check out these resources. Take good care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time here on the F.E.E.L Podcast. Hello, and thank you so much for being with us today on this episode of the F.E.E.L Podcast. If you would like more information on how you can apply these talking points that I share with our guests in each episode to your own life, really utilize this F.E.E.L framework, go to embracinglayers.com, fill out our contact form, and let's set up a free 30-minute consultation to talk about how you can start living your most authentic, organic, healthy, F.E.E.L fueled life. Thanks again for being with us today. We'll be back to you soon with another episode here on the F.E.E.L Podcast.